the 12 Scars of Silverpine. The silver shrouded the air, and Silverpine Manor was heavy, thick with the scent of pine needles, imported French vanilla candles, and unspent money. Elias Sterling, a man whose tailored suits cost more than most people's annual rent, stood beneath the impossible 30-foot Christmas tree. It was a behemoth, decked with custom-made crystal ornaments, casting a flawless glow on the polished marble floor. "The first gift," Elias announced, his voice booming with the practiced authority of a man who commanded boardrooms and market fluctuations. "The commencement of a 12 days of opulence." He presented the antique, velvet-lined box to his wife, Vivian. She accepted it with a graceful, practiced smile, a socialite's mask that had been affixed decades ago. Inside lay a $2 million antique silver locket, engraved with a meaningless family crest. "It's exquisite, Elias," Vivian murmured, already placing it on her neck, one more expensive accessory to weigh her down. The children offered obligatory, distant approval. Grant, 32, the heir apparent, checked the time on his platinum watch, anxious to return to the market data flickering on his perpetually open laptop. Aurora, 28, a famous lifestyle influencer, was busy setting up her ring light, narrating the locket's unveiling to her 10 million followers in a hushed, reverent tone. "Oh, darling, it's absolutely divine. A true Sterling tradition." Only Piper, 19, the youngest, stood apart, dressed in defiant, patched-up vintage clothing. She tossed her dark hair and glared at the sparkling scene. "It's a gilded cage," Piper said, her voice cutting through the manufactured cheer. "That locket is just another padlock, Dad. You buy us things because you don't know how to give us time." A hush fell. Elias's jaw tightened. "Piper, that is enough. You will apologize for that juvenile display." Before Piper could launch her next salvo, a sound ripped through the stillness. Not the delicate clinking of crystal, but the groan of stressed wood. The magnificent overhead chandelier flickered violently. Outside, the wind howled a ferocious, unnatural tune. Whoosh! Suddenly, the manor was plunged into absolute, echoing silence and darkness. The 30-foot tree was just a shadow. The backup generator, which Elias paid a king's ransom to maintain, failed with a sputtering cough. Elias's perfection was shattered. He fumbled for his phone, no signal. Grant checked his satellite feed, nothing. The wideout, a freak, localized snowstorm, had hit Silverpine with devastating force, cutting the power line, the phone lines, and every communication link. They were trapped, alone. The cold seeped into the bones of the ancient house immediately. Elias, recovering from the shock, began issuing commands. "Vivian, find the candles." "Grant, get to the security shed and reset the generator." "Aurora, call the staff and have them." He stopped. He had dismissed the housekeepers and grounds crew hours ago, insisting they take off early before the storm, a rare moment of generosity that now felt like a cruel irony. They were alone. Grant returned, teeth chattering. "The generator is completely shot, Dad. The main conduit is iced over and looks fried. And the grounds crew's truck is gone." "Then we start the fire," Elias declared, marching toward the colossal stone hearth in the great hall, a centerpiece of architectural beauty, never actually used. "We have 3 cords of split oak in the woodshed." Vivian exchanged a look with Piper, an understanding passing between them that had been absent for years. The woodshed was empty, save for a few bags of potting soil. The only logs were the 5 pristine, decorative birch pieces stacked artfully in the antique bronze basket beside the hearth. Elias stared, appalled. "Where is the wood?" Vivian wrapped her arms around herself. "Elias, we haven't used the wood-burning feature in 20 years. You installed the propane log set for convenience. We pay someone to keep the aesthetics up, not the function." It was the ultimate Sterling metaphor. The show was perfect, but the foundation was rotten. They had 5 logs. 5 hours of warmth, perhaps. They had to ration. The knowledge that they had neglected the basics of their magnificent home in favor of its image was a scar they all felt. Sharp and cold about the firewood lie. Day 2 was the broken screen of the wideout, brought a crushing boredom and a palpable tension. Aurora, her phone dead, wandered the halls like a lost ghost. Her face, usually bright and animated for the camera, was pale and drawn. She tried to maintain the facade, styling her hair with frozen fingers, humming a Christmas carol, but the silence was deafening. Grant, meanwhile, was experiencing a complete breakdown. He was scheduled for a massive asset reallocation, and his inability to connect meant millions of dollars were hanging in the balance, possibly hemorrhaging. He paced furious until he slammed his laptop onto a side table. The screen cracked, spraying spiderweb lines of broken light. "It's gone," he roared, a raw, ugly sound. "A quarter of my portfolio, gone, because I couldn't get a connection." Aurora whirled on him, her own carefully constructed composure fracturing. "Oh, poor Grant. Losing your money. At least you have a real job. Mine is gone. I can't post. My brand relies on constant, daily visibility. I'll be irrelevant by New Year's." "Irrelevant?" Grant spat. "Your entire career is predicated on Dad's trust fund. You document a life he paid for and call it a job? It's a gilded fantasy, Aurora, just like that locket." Aurora gasped, tears welling. "And what is yours, Grant? You manage the funds he set up for you. That success you cling to? It's borrowed." Elias, sitting frozen by the hearth, watched his two perfect children tearing each other's carefully curated lives to shreds. The truth was brutally honest, and for the first time, Elias couldn't silence it with a new investment or a sharp reprimand. He realized his wealth hadn't secured their happiness, it had secured their pretensions. The hunt for anything useful led Vivian and Piper to the attic, a forgotten cavern of sterling history. Dust motes danced in the sparse light filtering through the frozen dormer windows. While searching for emergency candles, Vivian stumbled upon a heavy cardboard box labeled, "Before Grant's first boarding school." Inside, among baby clothes and old tax returns, was a thick stack of stationery. Piper, shivering, picked up a letter, half-written, dated 2 decades prior, addressed to Elias, which was the unsent letter. "My dearesty, I know the firm is everything to you, but lately I feel like a guest in my own life. I need connection, not diamonds. I need to be seen, not just presented. If you can't give me this, if you can't just stop working for 1 week and look at me, I don't know how much longer I can stay. I feel like I'm fading." The writing stopped mid-sentence. Vivian gently took the letter from Piper's hand. "I never sent it," she whispered, her voice rough with cold and old pain. "I wrote this right before he signed the deal for the Hong Kong branch. I decided the stability, the image, was more important than the feeling. I chose resignation over revolution." Piper, who had always viewed her mother as a beautiful, unfeeling statue, saw a crack in the marble. "You weren't always like this," she said softly. "No, Piper," Vivian admitted. "I let myself be frozen, just like this house." They found a few thick, stubby emergency candles. With an antique match, Vivian lit one. The small, warm flame cast shadows that were real, not artificial. It was a shared moment of simple light, a silent acknowledgement of the pain they both carried, something far more valuable than the silver locket. The kitchen was a disaster. While impeccably designed, it held ingredients fit for a Michelin star chef, not a survivalist. They had imported smoked salmon, saffron, a case of vintage Bordeaux, and 4 jars of truffle oil, but no eggs, no milk, and the bread was stale. "We can't eat caviar for 3 days, Mom," Grant grumbled, rubbing his stomach. Vivian, surprisingly, felt a spark of purpose. She remembered something. Searching the dusty, seldom-used back pantry, she found a bag of flour, some molasses, and a jar of old raspberry jam. "Biscuits," she announced. "Your grandmother's recipe. Simple but filling." As she mixed the dough by hand, her movements were unfamiliar yet graceful. She started to speak, not about parties or investments, but about her childhood Christmases in a small Ohio town, the smell of baking dough, the joy of a simple gift. Grant, leaning against the counter, listened intently. "I remember these," he said quietly, surprising himself. "When I was 7, you made them after I broke my arm playing hockey. They tasted like comfort." It was the first time Grant had spoken without a financial motive in years. Vivian's hands, usually adorned with diamonds, were now dusted with flour, the work rough but genuine. The shared warmth of the oven, the smell of rising dough, it was a simple, powerful reminder that connection lies not in expensive rituals, but in shared, nourishing experience. Day 5. The cold was unbearable. Elias, frantic with inaction, tried to regain control by becoming the handyman. He donned a ridiculously expensive cashmere coat and marched to the generator shed, determined to fix what he didn't understand. He fiddled, he cursed, he slammed things. He nearly shocked himself twice. He was utterly, hilariously incompetent. Grant came out, holding a small toolkit he'd retrieved from his unused garage space. "Dad, stop. You're going to break it worse." Elias turned, furious. "I am trying to fix this, Grant. I built this house. I pay for this life. I can fix a damn engine." "No, you can't," Grant retorted, dropping the toolkit. "And that's the point. You try to control everything, even the things you have no aptitude for. Just like you controlled my life. I secretly spent a summer studying mechanical engineering in college, Dad. You remember, before you marched me into Wharton and demanded I become a mirror of you." Elias was stunned silent. Grant knelt and, with precise, competent movements, began working on the choked engine lines. As he worked, he spoke the painful truth he had held back for a decade. "My whole career is a lie, Dad. I hate it. I hate playing with other people's money. I wanted to build things, fix things. But I chose the path of least resistance because it was your path." Elias stood in the freezing shed, watching his son, a man he thought he knew completely, reveal a secret passion and a deep resentment. Humbled by his own uselessness and his son's competence, Elias finally spoke, his voice cracked with cold and sudden realization. I see. I just wanted you to have the best. I thought my best was the best." "It's just yours, Dad," Grant said, not looking up. For the first time, Elias saw his son not as an investment, but as a man whose dreams he had sacrificed on the altar of his own ego. In the afternoon, the family engaged in a forced game of charades by the fire. It was awkward, stiff and quiet. Piper refused to play, retreating further into herself. Aurora, feeling a genuine, unfamiliar warmth from the recent confrontations, decided to try to reach her sister. She entered Piper's room and noticed a heavy, worn sketchbook tucked under her bed. The hidden sketchbook. Curious, she opened it. The pages weren't filled with pretty landscapes or cheerful portraits. They were raw, visceral, and powerful. One drawing showed Elias and Vivian as towering, diamond-encrusted automatons, their faces blank. Another depicted Grant holding a phone that was melting into his hand. And Aurora herself was drawn as a beautiful, empty doll, her eyes replaced by camera lenses. Aurora felt a stab of hurt, followed by a wave of understanding. She placed the book on Piper's desk. When Piper returned, she saw Aurora looking at the drawing of the doll. "Catty, isn't it?" Piper challenged. "No," Aurora said, surprisingly calmly. "It's honest. You see us as we are, pretty containers for Dad's money. But Piper, this is incredible. The pain is real. This isn't student art. It's a cry for help. Art is the only thing here that isn't bought, Aurora. I can't be bought." "Neither can I," Aurora countered, her voice shaking slightly. "My online life is fake. I know it. I'm desperately lonely. My followers are my only sense of validation. I edit out the real me because she's not on brand. Your drawings are the realest thing in this house." Piper looked at her sister. Aurora, without her camera and makeup, looked vulnerable, human. Piper felt a reluctant flicker of empathy. "You don't need 1,000,000 likes, Aurora," Piper said, her voice softening. "You just need one good, honest connection." Searching for kindling, they stumbled into the dank, dusty cellar, a place only staff ever ventured. They found a box of old electronics, including a working VCR and a collection of VHS tapes, the old tape. Elias, attempting to find a distraction, tried to force a tape labeled Sterling Annual Strategy, but the old machine chewed it up. Frustrated, he grabbed another, unlabeled tape and jammed it in. The screen flickered to life, showing grain and static, then resolved into a bright, nostalgic image. A Christmas morning in Silverpine, 20 years ago. A much younger, leaner Elias, his tie slightly loosened, was genuinely laughing, tossing a small, affordable toy airplane to a 10-year-old Grant. Vivian, her hair simpler, wore a comfortable sweater and was smiling a real, joyful smile, helping a 6-year-old Aurora put a paper star on a much smaller, non-designer tree. The family watched in silent, frozen awe. They were watching the ghosts of their past, the happy, less wealthy family they used to be, before the money became the most important member of the household. Piper, who hadn't been born yet, saw the potential for warmth that lay buried beneath the opulence. Aurora saw a mother whose warmth had been traded for hostess duties. Grant saw a father who once knew how to play, not just profit. Elias looks at his family. Grant is talking about engineering courses. Aurora is posting a simple photo of their patched-up Christmas tree with the caption, "We're home," and Piper is sketching. He realizes his family is no longer perfect, but they are finally real. The moral lesson is that the value of life is not in what you possess, but in the connections you maintain. Opulence can create the illusion of perfection, but true wealth is the emotional resilience found when everything material is stripped away. If this story resonated with you, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, Mrs. Evelyn Sampson TV, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next story. We encourage you to share your thoughts and your own stories of patience and faith in the comment section below. Please let us know what next video you want to see here. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep engaging.